All right, everybody, welcome back to the AI versus HI podcast, where we talk about artificial intelligence and human intelligence in real estate. I'm Adrian Kesey with 1289 Creative. I'm here with Tim Gilson from the Gilson Home Group. I think in this episode, Tim, I want to take a little bit of a different direction. Let's just address the elephant in the room. Is AI going to replace humans? This is, I think, a revolution that we're going through, and I think we've kind of gone through some of these things in our history. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, bottom line, no. Yeah, bottom line, no. And I'm going to tell you a short story about why I firmly believe that. There's when I was early in my career, I did a transaction 25 years ago with a really well-known Southeast Michigan agent. Her name is Nada Illich. Legendary. Nada sold real estate, I think, until she was 95. And I was so impressed with her. She was probably in her early 80s or maybe mid 80s when I did that transaction with her many years ago. And I said, Nada, I need to come and talk to you. She says, yeah, Tim, come on down. Let's sit at my office. So we sat in her office and she said, pull up a chair. What do you got? And I said, I got to ask you this question. There's these online portals. And I saw this one that's called Realtor.com.
Yeah.
And I saw this other one, and there's these online services, and they've got all the data that traditionally people had to go to the real estate agents and brokers to get.
Yeah.
I said, what's going to happen with this industry? And she laughed and she says, forget about it, son. Just forget about it. This is a human business. He says, nobody can help a client like a human can help a client.
Yeah.
And she was wise beyond her years. Yeah, she's honest to God, which is such a gem. I became close, I will say friends with her, and we had lunch several times over the years. And I always think back to that when we start talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I'd like to quote her and say, yeah, forget about it. It's going to help what we're doing.
Yes.
It's going to help what we're doing. It's going to augment what we're doing. But this is still a human business. They need humans to help them to make good decisions.
Right.
And they need expertise and they need knowledge and they need guidance because not everybody does this every day.
Right.
So I think it's a great tool that's going
Agreed.
to augment, it's going to help our clients to do design work, to understand values, to understand the advantages and disadvantages of certain types of purchases or sales, help them to choose how best to navigate the transaction. But at the end of the day, they really need to have a human conversation with somebody who they trust. When you look across the table at their eyes,
Right.
you say, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm so glad that I got professional help and guidance from a real human. HI.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. I think you
Human
and I
intelligence.
we're on the same page. I don't know where I heard this or, where I adopted this kind of mindset, but because you get that question all the time, right? My background was in engineering, so that's high risk, right?
Yeah.
Territory. It's writing code. I'm currently in media, high risk, right? It's generating content. So it's like, are you afraid that AI is going to, replace you? And I always say, like, I don't think AI is going to replace humans. I think it's going to replace humans that don't use AI. So, for example, Zillow and Realtor.com and all these things, they didn't end up replacing humans. But it did replace some that thought that, hey, this is just going to blow over. This is nothing, and I'm just going to keep doing things the way I'm doing them. But the people that got on board that said, okay, this information is now more readily available. How does that make me a better agent? And how can I take that time that I saved to do other things? Everybody's still around.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It actually helped us.
Yeah.
And that's very controversial in our industry. But in my opinion, it helps us because what it did is it took the information and it put it in the hands of the decision makers.
Yes.
While we're here doing this, I guarantee you some of the buyers who I'm working with, they've seen the home already that
Yeah.
they really want to have that I haven't even seen yet. So
Yeah.
put the information where it belongs.
Right.
So let's call this what it is. It's going to help us, just like the online portals. Now we have our love-hate relationships with
course.
each other. But at the end of the day, if we embrace it, like you said, and we work with it and we find out how this can augment and help our clients look
Yeah.
at it through that lens, it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking back to, like, because AI writes a lot of code right now. Like, it's developing applications. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to replace all the engineers and all that. And yeah, it is. It goes back to that
lot of
love-hate
it.
relationship. But the other thing, too, is now somebody who has a great idea doesn't have a barrier to entry, a technical barrier to entry. The
Yeah.
value is not that they can write the code, it's in the idea, right? And if that idea helps other people, I think in the long run, that relationship between humans and AI is going to be a good thing.
Agreed.
You're going to see it in medical, you're going to see it in business and all that. So, yeah, this podcast is not about like, you know, putting down AI.
Oh,
it's
quite
really
the
more so
contrary.
just like,
Yeah.
you know, what its realistic role is, where it helps, and where humans can still do better.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
we're going to fall flat on different occasions. A lot of artificial intelligence is being used in robo-dialers.
Yeah.
You get a phone call and you say, "Hi, my name is Chloe." It's like, "Yeah, sure, it's Chloe." Chloe, are you a machine or are you a human? That's a great question. It says, I'm based on, it's like, "Oh, Chloe, nah, you lost me." You know, right? So there's going to be stumbling blocks like that because I go click. You know, I'm not
Right.
going to talk to a machine.
Right.
And that's being used a lot in real estate. And some people are having good success with it too. When you do enough of it,
Right.
it's going, you know, shake a
Numbers,
tree hard
right?
enough
It's a
and nuts
numbers
going to
game.
fall out.
Yeah,
It's a numbers
exactly.
game. My point is this, it's going to be, I think there's going to be a certain pushback for deployment of different types of AI
Yeah.
technology in every industry.
Of course.
In real estate, you know, it's going to be just like insurance. It's going to be like in your doctors. The doctor calls me and I'm talking to William, who's an Autobot, and he's answering my questions like, representative, hit zero,
Right,
right?
yeah,
He's
hit
like,
zero,
give me a
right,
human
yeah.
here. No, I'm not going to talk to a machine.
Right.
So there's going to
Yeah.
be setbacks like that. But in general, let's embrace it. Let's see what we can make out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's new, right? So it's going to be almost like, I don't want to say like unhinged, but we're going to start developing as a society what we're okay with and where we're like,
Yeah.
that's far enough, you know?
Too
And,
much.
Unfortunately, you just got to kind of let it do its thing to kind of
Sure.
identify those things. So I really enjoyed this conversation.
I did
Thanks,
as
Tim.
well. I like your insights. Always appreciate your insights into what's happening out there.
Thank you. Likewise.